Okay, so I'm James Meena. I'm the Artistic Director for Opera Grand Rapids. So as Artistic Director, it's a multifaceted responsibilities. The most obvious are selecting operas and working with the board and the general director on what repertoire we do, selecting singers, selecting directors, and then looking at what the physical productions are going to be, the costumes, the sets, what the lighting is going to look like. Every element that we would call an artistic element of the product ultimately is my decision. Now, it's a collaborative art form, so I work with the director on what the production is going to be looking like, and selecting a production is really critical, and getting a director who also has the same aesthetic is also very important. So it really is very much, as I said, collaborative and very much a work in progress as we recreate these great works of art. So I began in opera. I sort of backed into opera. I got a call from Pittsburgh Opera that they needed someone to prepare the choruses and the production for their opening production of Turandot. And did I know the show and was I interested? Of course, at that point, I had no interest in going to the opera. I was going to be a symphonic conductor and those sorts of things, but I was, supporting myself and recently married. So I said, of course I want this job. So voila, I'm all of a sudden the associate conductor of Pittsburgh Opera and haven't looked back since. The biggest challenges you find in opera conducting as opposed to conducting symphony is the multiplicity of talents that you're dealing with. In the opera house, you of course have a symphony orchestra that you're leading. You're also leading principal artists. You're also leading a chorus. And then there's the dramatic element to it. It's less regimented, I guess, is a good way of looking at it, than performing a symphonic concert. Symphonic concert, it's you and the orchestra, and you rehearse and you agree on how the piece is going to go, and with any luck, it goes off without a hitch when you ultimately perform. So when I'm auditioning and listening for singers, it's very important that there be several criteria in place. First of all, it's no longer just the voice. The voice is important, but because we are so much driven by the drama, we're so much driven by the visual aspect of opera, our audiences want to see performers who are dramatically interesting. They want to see a Carmen who looks like a Carmen. They want to see a Mimi who looks like a Mimi. And they want to see a Rodolfo who is, handsome at least, and can carry off the role and make it believable. And that's wonderful. So there is a series of criteria. First of all, can they sing the role? Are they appropriate for the role vocally? Second, are they the kind of actor who is going to be compelling on stage? Are they someone who the audience is going to be drawn to? One of the other aspects of putting together a cast is, what do they sound like together? Does the Duke of Mantua sound good with the voice type we've selected for the Gilda? And this is really an aspect that the audience will never be aware of unless it's wrong. If there isn't cohesion vocally, the sound and the look of the cast, then the audience will know that right away. Most audiences, they really can't tell you if it's good or not. They certainly can tell you if it's not good. And so if the answer to both of those is yes, then the last criteria is, what kind of person are they? Are they a person that we want to bring into the company? Are they going to feel like it's a family as we work together? When we work on an opera, we're together for 3, sometimes 4 weeks together. So when you have oil and water in the cast, it makes for a very unpleasant working situation. Probably the worst experience I had was doing Bohème, where from the first day of rehearsal, the Rodolfo and the Mimi hated each other. So Rodolfo is the tenor who is supposed to be in love with Mimi, the soprano, and vice versa. And they fall in love immediately. So if you don't have chemistry with those two, it is going to be a war from the beginning. And this was a war from the beginning. By the time we got to the performance, the two would not look at each other. They wouldn't touch each other. They looked like they didn't want to be in the same room together which of course was the case. So that was kind of a nightmare experience. When you're performing opera, anything can go wrong. I like to say that opera is a disaster waiting to happen. And so as the conductor, you have to be extremely ready to handle the disasters and make sure that not only is the performance going off as planned, but that has a dramatic sense to it. It's not simply accompanying singers. The flow for opera is much more based on the story. It's much more based on the drama that you're trying to portray. And if you do that successfully, it can really be an exciting evening in the theater.